record of pedophilia, then why the priests should not be allowed in a public restroom then? If we're
Right?
going to go this route.
Damn.
I don't want someone, if you've lived past life expectancy, if you've lived past what we expected you to, you should not be a politician. You should not be running the country. And that is 76, by the way. So it's approaching. Like, they need to go. I wish Father Time would just do his job.
Welcome to today's episode of the Pro-Choice Podcast. We have a very special guest today. We have Ceci from Very Ceci Podcast, and also just an incredible human that I had the pleasure of meeting in Los Angeles when I was filming the Surrounded episode about abortion rights. So I'm going to give Ceci a moment to introduce her, but I would just say she is one of the most hilarious, but also just interesting people I've met. So, Ceci, what do you say?
Hi, I say hi. I'm Ceci. Yeah, from the Very Ceci podcast on YouTube, Very Ceci on all platforms. Yeah, we met at the Surrounded Jubilee, pro-choice versus pro-life with Lila Rose. That was really interesting. It was so interesting because I have met her before when we went head to head on Dr. Phil. But to talk about the podcast really quick and what you and I both, want to do, I'm a feminist, I'm very pro-choice, very pro-woman, very just pro-equal rights, right? For everyone, period. And with the podcast, what I really want to do is, one, I do want to talk to people on the right as well. Like, I want to have a real discussion between people, not just like the clicky rage bait stuff. Like, let's get into it kind of. And also because I also want to cover stories that people aren't covering as much that really need to be put out there. Like I covered the Idaho town hall that woman was dragged out of. Like, that's not a lot of outlets I feel like are really pushing these stories. So I want to make sure that people are getting the info of what's really happening. I feel like one day we might wake up and we're in a fascist state and how to happen, you know what I mean? So we need to stay on top of it.
Yeah, so that's I think today is one day. I think we woke up today in a fascist state here, fascist country. But yeah, no, what you said about not being able to get the information, you are absolutely correct. After Trump has won the second presidency, Democrats and progressives and just academics studied and researched, and they found what really swung this election, and it was the podcast manosphere.
Yep.
So many conservative, I would say misogynists own this space. So
100.
having women, progressive people have voices in the podcast, it's so important. Like you said,
I agree.
Media is not covering a lot of really important topics. Yeah. And then there's this kind of black hole for feminist content. I think they were saying that it's 100 or 1,000 to 1 of conservative pieces, podcasts and stuff going on for every one type of feminist or progressive one. Which is terrifying.
That's crazy. Like, but you know why? It's because they are all about carnage and red meat, and people, it's so much easier to bond over something you hate, and they're hateful. So it's like easy just to feed them the red meat and they come for it. Like, I get why they're popular. I get it. I'm tuning in, but I'm tuning in because I need to know how is your mind working? You know what I mean? Like, I need to I don't have any understanding yet, but I'm trying, you know what I mean? But just, I understand how they're being manipulated. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And it's crazy the amount that's out there.
So what was it like filming Dr. Phil with Lila Rose? Now, just for anyone listening, Lila Rose is the founder of an organization called Live Action, which is almost the exact opposite of my organization, Pro-Choice with Heart. So she and her organization are fighting to spread this kind of propaganda and
rhetoric,
anti-choice rhetoric, but also at the same time, she's, I don't know. I would say this. I don't know if she believes it anymore. So,
Here's the thing is I feel like she's on cruise control. She's just like robotic at this point. Like I think she believes it, but only because it's actually been indoctrinated.
yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Because like I she one was raised evangelical and she was homeschooled and then she went to like college for history. Like I think it was art history for like a couple years. Like this is on brand. Like this is her lifestyle. This is what she's been taught since birth probably. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And
Definitely.
it's just but it's scary how people sometimes just don't break from that.
It's hard. What's hard to get
They
out? I
stay in their bubble a
It's
little
hard to
bit.
get out. It's totally hard to get out. But when I asked how it was with her on Dr. Phil and you, because when we all debated just recently, I looked in her eyes. I mean, we're sitting like this. Like anyone listening to this, my hands are just like a few inches apart. We're sitting very, very close,
Very
looking
close.
at the other person straight in the eyes. And when I looked in her eyes, they were flat. They were flat. There wasn't passion. And I've debated other pro-lifers who have had that passion. I mean, usually they have that passion. I'm bringing that passion. You're bringing that passion. And she wasn't. It was flat. Everything was a canned response. I just didn't see that
I
like
will
fire.
say that on the Dr. Phil show, she seemed very passionate. And I feel like she still does. But I feel like what takes away from her passion is one, her look, because she just looks very Stepford. I feel like it actually does take away a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I think it's just you're seeing it from a package.
Yeah.
So it feels also a little disingenuous in that way because it looks optically disingenuous. But I really do believe she believes what she's saying. Like this woman is cuckoo, you know, but she was not born that way. She was taught this stuff, right? Like, hey,
Yeah.
all these kind of things. This is taught behavior. And what I want to know though from her, I mean, I would love to fast forward 10, 15 years and see how her daughters feel about her. I really do, you know, because I don't see how they could be excited about a world where they have less rights.
Absolutely. And we've seen, well, I mean, have you been following Elon Musk's daughter, Vivian?
Yeah.
She is speaking out
Yeah, she is.
loudly about her father being
She
a
was
good
like,
person.
that was a Nazi salute, guys. She's like,
Yeah.
that is what it is. Like, she's being honest about what it is.
Yeah.
And it's Elon Musk is terrifying
Oh,
because he is, you know, he's one of those people that wants to populate the earth and he's pushing this, you know, pro life bullshit agenda, excuse me. Um, and he's terrifying. He's really, really scary.
yeah. Well, it's interesting that he's so popular now. As far as in the pro-choice world, he came on my radar a few years ago when he was on the cover of Time magazine. And
Mm-hmm.
he had said that essentially he thinks women need to all get pregnant and have babies for the population because we're in a population size increase is what he's claiming. You know, claiming to take away women's rights of bodily autonomy for
Right.
the economy. It's always for the economy. So,
Right.
so I find it so ironic that the current administration is doing mass deportation. If we have a population size problem, like we don't have enough people to do the
What
job,
they mean, and you know what they mean when they say a population problem is a white population
that is
problem.
right.
It's all
Absolutely.
built in racism. That's all he's on. But really quick, I want to go back to Lila and the Dr. Phil show because it popped in my head and I have to tell you this tea. So when I was backstage getting mic'd up, there was this other woman there getting mic'd up too, and we didn't know who each other were at this point. Now her name is Susan Swift. She's a civil rights attorney and she's pro-life. And she was also one of the women on the panel that were discussing it. So we're both getting mic'd up and the producers came over to us and asked, oh, can you guys put your masks on while you're backstage? And I was like, oh yeah, no problem. And she said, oh, I don't have one. So when they went to get her one, she turned to me and she goes, you know, I feel like the Chinese should be paying us reparations for this.
What?
I looked at her. I know. I looked at her and I was like, oh, so you support reparations. That's great.
That's
You
funny.
know, like we immediately knew who each other were. You know,
That is,
I'm the one who's going to go out there and defend the women of the country, and she's a, you
yeah,
know, see you
good.
next Tuesday.
It's real. I find in like the space of pro-choice activism, when you're going up against another woman, I find that to be one of the hardest things. And that happens often, even though statistically that is not accurate. The majority of women in the United States are pro-choice. In fact, the majority of people in the United States are
Yeah, they
pro-choice.
are.
Like over
Yeah.
70%. I've seen some polls at
See, that's
80%.
interesting that because for me, debating a man, that is harder for me.
Really?
That pisses me off so much. Like I can't. And debating a man, I want to lose my mind because I don't think they should just, this isn't yours. Like at least the pro-life women are fighting for their choice not to have a choice. I don't know.
My choice to not have a choice.
I don't know, but how to put that. But you know what I mean? When it's a
Yeah.
man, I'm like, no, shut the fuck up. Sorry.
I find it easier though to debate a man because
I mean, they're stupid.
yeah, like that literally that's the reason because a
But
man
that's the
will
other
come
thing.
in.
They're so stupid. It's almost like debating a wall. So it's also like, what am I doing here? Sometimes, not all of them, but some of them. Actually, funny enough, I did get into a little thing with this guy who is pro-life, and he goes, well, I believe in exceptions for rape and incest. And I was like, right, so then you're fine with an abortion taking place. You just think I have the right to my body so long as it's violated first.
Yeah.
And you could see though, when I said that, the wheels kind of
They turn.
turning a little bit, right? Like, oh, yeah. Do you know what I mean? How do you dispute that? Like that's what that is. That's what that
Yeah.
means.
Yeah. Yeah. I just like with I guess just with men, I feel like a debate with a man on a pro-life issue is more real. Like it's more real life. Because when I'm online and I'm posting content supporting reproductive rights, 98% of the comments, the angry pro-life comments,
Yeah.
when I'm putting pro-choice content out there, I don't know if I said that backwards, but whatever. When I'm making pro-choice content, 80 over 80%, 90% are all trolls, are all men. It's
Oh
men.
yeah.
It's always
Oh,
men.
100%.
It's
Dude,
always men.
after our surrounded Jubilee debate, like, I mean, I had women commenting shitty stuff and so did men, but guys were slipping into my DMs like, oh, I hope you get raped,
Oh yeah. Oh,
like crazy stuff. Where it's just like, what is wrong with you?
it's
This
that
is the
yeah.
manosphere. And it's funny too because the whole feminist movement, like that they're threatened by, it's just funny to me because it's not, I understand that it started with women. That's why it's the feminist movement, right? White women and then black women. And then we started including, oh, you don't have rights either. Like, let's go, like it's now an umbrella for just like an equal rights movement. And the people that are most threatened are white men, then men, but white men in particular. And they don't seem to realize that the problem is that we gained freedoms. So people started learning, oh, not just white men are capable of these things,
Yeah.
as more people gain more freedom. So now they're threatened, that's why they're using DEI as the new slur, basically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what they're using it as. And it's just because they're threatened. They're threatened. They all need to have some easy way in because they don't want to do it like the rest of us.
Yeah, it's the
Now, obviously, I'm not talking about like every white guy, but like
well, I
everyone
am.
majority that I've met.
We don't have to qualify this. Every white man in this country benefits from the racism and misogyny that this country was found. Every single one. It is every man. Every white man is benefited, even if he's an ally, even if he's a feminist, even if
Yeah.
he said it goes to every rally. It doesn't matter. He's still benefited. It is every man. Like there. So that's the part where it's like we don't need to qualify this. Like every single woman I know has been assaulted or raped. It's not 1 in 4. I don't know one who hasn't. So it's like both sides of this. Like they're getting all
That's
the
just it.
benefits.
If you haven't been, you know someone who has been. You know what I mean? That's just it. And then the thing is with men, I'm like, okay, so just so you know, it goes for you too. If you don't, if it hasn't happened to you, you know a woman that it's happened to.
They don't care.
Okay. And you know a guy who's probably done it.
Oh
That's the
yeah.
worst part too.
Yeah. The empathy though, the empathy switch never got flipped for a lot of people. And it goes back to if you're in the Midwest or the South and you grew up in like a really coercive, conservative or religious
Right.
situation,
Yeah.
for me, I did and I got punished for empathy. I would be kind, I would be empathetic, and I was told that was weakness and that was a problem, a sin, a flaw of mine. So you have huge millions of people in this country told that lie and indoctrinated into that. And
Yeah.
it's terrifying to see the results of people that don't care
It's
about
true.
their neighbors or their fellow humans.
100% because these pro-lifers are also the same people that are willing to look at an immigrant and send them back to a country where they're going to be killed. You're not pro-life. You're actually comfortable telling a living, breathing human being to go die.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
disgusting. Well, and
It's
also
just hypocrisy. They are so
we're
hypocritical.
all here on stolen land. My grandparents came from
One,
Ireland. Like
correct.
we are not. I am not an American, a true person born here. Like
Right,
no one is,
exactly.
except for
Exactly.
indigenous people that we have horribly mistreated in this
Also,
country.
like, if they really wanted to keep this country white, then they wouldn't have brought over black slaves. Okay. Let's be real. They started it. I don't know what you want anymore.
I think. Well, have you
It's
heard? There, I mean, there's a whole racist movement that is. I think it's kind of being not kind of, but it seems like it's spearheaded by Elon Musk, who is born in South Africa, which
an apartheid state till he was 24.
yeah,
He had black servants, and that's the relationship he knows. Okay.
and that's who's in the Oval Office right now with our president, who is really just he's like a grandpa, like he's just so old. We went from one really old one to a really old one.
That's another problem, right? I think our representation, forget about it's too white for sure, but it's most of it's too old.
And it's real
I
old.
don't want someone, if you've lived past life expectancy, if you've lived past what we expected you to, you should not be a politician. You should not be running the country. And that is 76, by the way. So it's approaching. Like they need to go. I wish Father Time would just do his job.
Well, what is retirement age? It's like at some point you gotta
I
retire.
think there should be forced retirement age in politics. And
Yeah,
if we don't want to do it at that 65 mark, fine, then do life expectancy. That's 76, guys. Like most of them would be gone.
totally. Well, the Trump
Chuck
is saying
Schumer, 74. Okay. Like what?
Trump's saying he was gonna get a third term. So
Okay. If once he actually starts trying that I'm wondering about a civil war sometimes. And I'm wondering if never mind. I don't want to put that out there. That's not.
I say bet. Go get your third term, and we will have an Obama third term. Trump thinks he would get a third term. No, that would never happen. Obama would run. Obama would
You
destroy
know
Trump
what?
in the ballots.
I never thought of that, but that would be
Yeah,
so
that's
cool.
what like bet. Give us a third
Cool.
term.
But at the same time, I would be like, no, we can't do that because now we've just swung it and then it's going to come back. You know what I mean? Then we'll float between those two dickheads. Excuse me. I like Obama, but you get what I'm saying. They're just both politicians at the end
Yeah,
of the day. And I don't know. We need younger, new representation, you know?
I agree. It would be nice if they would let younger people just have anything. But I think that the mentality of the boomer generation and the older generation is like me. Like they can't seem to relinquish the
Yeah.
control, which is concerning because it's like a lot of the issues we're talking about, they don't affect them anymore, especially when it comes to reproductive rights. And it feels really creepy to have not just
Yeah.
men but people that they don't have like an inroad to the lives of women even in reproductive age, like maybe a daughter, maybe something, but that's so like disconnected like from their
Yeah.
daily life. And it's like
100%.
these laws are being made by men that don't even have inroads to the lives of women that are going to be directly affected by these laws, and it's
Yeah.
terrifying.
It's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying. It makes no sense. I don't know what the hell is happening.
So where are you from in the Midwest?
Hmm. I'm from Chicago,
That
and
is
I grew up in Chicago. I went to Lane Tech High School. Um, yeah, and I lived there till I was 30, and then I moved to LA 7 years ago, 7.5 years ago.
wow. That is the dream, the Midwest dream. Like
Yeah,
to move from the Midwest and live in LA. Like I
it was
know
it's
it's
and
hard.
like half the reason I left was because of the weather. I was like, I don't want to do winter again. You know what I mean? And I live in sunny LA now, so I don't have to do winter anymore.
Do you like living in LA?
It's what? I don't know sometimes. Like yes, and then there are other times where it's just a city that sometimes you need to escape. Like it's definitely a city that I'm like, okay, it's time for at least a day trip somewhere.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, I do like it. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity here, especially if you're a creative, and I do hair and I do stand-up comedy. So it's a good place to be for those two things. Um, and also now with the whole Jubilee surrounded, like it's cool that I mean, they do let you fly in to do it if you're somewhere else because they do want a lot of perspectives from a lot of people. But, it's kind of nice. I can just drive to it. But that was a fun experience. And so that's the kind of stuff that, like, I was able to be on Dr. Phil, right? Because I happened to do hair for the executive producer. Like, it all just kind of fell into place, it feels like.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And a teaser for anybody listening to this, both of us, both Ceci and myself have been, I don't know, am I even allowed to say this? You
I
might
don't
see
know.
us again. You might see us again on a
Say that.
Jubilee. You might see us again on a Jubilee surrounded together. I don't know. You might.
Might. Yeah. We'll
I don't
see.
want to have to cancel it if I spill the beans on it.
Yeah, no. We're not saying anything other than you might see us again together on a surrounded. That's all.
Yeah, fighting it out
Yeah.
again and
Yeah.
again for our basic human rights. Like, why are we still
Exactly.
doing this? But
It's
we're still,
wild. It's
you know,
wild.
we're
Oh,
still.
did you? Okay, I got to talk about it. Did you see the latest Surrounded with Sam Cedar?
No, I did. Is there? No, I
It
didn't.
was 20 MAGA versus Sam Cedar, who's one progressive. And these people are disturbed. One girl, blonde hair, blue eyed girl, sits in that chair and goes, "What's wrong with xenophobic nationalism?"
When you're at that starting point, like, where do you go from there? Like, where
Where
do
do
you
you go?
go from there? And that's where it's like the lack of empathy or the lack of kindness. Like, where do you go if that's the starting point?
That's the scary part about what's happening right now is we're just seeing way more like with less empathy. It's wild. The people that are comfortable watching what's happening and just letting it happen, they're like totally fine with it or cheering it on.
It's that's disturbing. When the starting points, like when the people have been polaroid, whatever, when we were on such opposite ends in the
Yeah.
spectrum. I'm holding my hands up to show like a far away thing if you're if you're
No,
listening.
and you know what? And I grew
Like
up like you grew up in a conservative
I did,
household,
yeah.
right? Okay, so my house was really mixed. Like my dad's an atheist, my mom is lowercase c Christian, and my grandmother though, she was a Cuban pastor. Like she was a Christian pastor. My dad's white, my mom's Cuban, so my grandmother, the pastor, is Cuban. My other grandmother was a Catholic. Like, and Cuban side was conservative. This side was liberal. Like I grew up in a mixed house.
Yeah.
So I went to church till I was like 8 or 9. And I remember like telling my dad, like, I don't want to go anymore. It's like boring. And he was like, yeah, you don't have to go. And I was like, wait a minute, this whole time I didn't have, he's like, no, I'm not going to force you to go to church. Like, I don't go to church. So that was also kind of the cool thing about my upbringing is that it was also open where they were like letting me kind of figure it out, you know?
Totally.
I think that's the problem now is like if I had a question, my dad made sure to answer it because he's like, if I don't answer it, someone else is going to answer that question for her. And I don't know what dumbass is going to be educating my kid on
Totally.
certain things. You know what I mean? So it was kind of cool because my house was very just like open communication, and I grew up in the city in the 90s in Chicago, going to very public schools. you know? So yeah, I don't know. It's interesting moving to LA. I've met so many people from so many other places, different walks of life. And I realized how unique my upbringing was, because a lot of people lived in houses that like it was conservative, it was liberal, it was this or that. And I just kind of was all over the place.
Yeah. It's nice to have that balance, but I also think when we were growing up, conservative versus liberal didn't mean what it means now.
Very
Like
true.
now,
Very true.
it's really hard to communicate on the other side. And
Do
before,
you still separate? Do you still separate? Because, like, okay, I think constituent wise, I separate Republican from MAGA, but politically, politician wise, I don't separate them. How do you feel about that?
I I would say at the when Trump had his first presidency in the Republican Party, there was a clear division. There
Mm,
was and back then, most Republicans did not like Trump. Like
yeah,
there was this huge we don't the, who he's
it's true.
too
JD
far.
Vance called him Hitler.
Yes, JD Vance, he has common sense in his head and he hides it now. I don't know why, but like so most Republicans did not like that. Like it used to be way more moderate. I mean, it was never good. I mean, there's always been issues, never
Right.
been perfect, but at
Oh
the
no,
end of the day, you could kind
yeah.
of sit down with the Republican and Democrat, and it wasn't that we could see eye to eye. Like I get it. But now, since Republicans have taken Trump's lead on this Make American Great, which is like take us back to 1950s where women don't have rights, people of color don't have rights. We're taking away LGBTQ rights,
Yeah,
and we're doing another kind of Reagan era tax cut. That tax cut Reagan did is why the reason we have billionaires and monopolies now,
exactly.
and the reason we lost the
We
middle
learned
class.
it didn't work.
Like doing it again though, but like worse. So it's like well, wait, why would a real Republican like that? Like the old way, they wasn't like that. Like that, they were the party of like freedom and like rights and like
Oh
they.
yeah, they are totally not. They're not the same Republican Party at all. It's a new party because honestly, and I love how they're always like, "We're the party of freedom." What are we talking about? How?
How?
How? When you
No.
take rights away, right there, you're not the party of freedom. Like you can't do that. Like I mean, in Texas, they want to make it illegal to be trans, to have it be a felony. Where if you identify that way, you go to prison for 2 years.
And,
What are we talking about?
and every single trans law bill, anything that's happening, it is absolutely the biggest waste of taxpayer money. They're literally spending millions of dollars to hurt and prosecute people. We're talking about 10 people, 20 people in a
We're
state.
talking
Like,
about less than 1% of the population. And it kills me that they want to focus on the 1% that does not affect you rather than the 1% at the top that does affect everyone.
right?
Show me on the doll where the trans person hurt you. You know what I mean? And if
I
we're going to talk, oh my God. And it kills me too that I mean, because the trans thing is a red herring.
yeah, oh yeah.
It's their thing that they want to distract all those haters with, feed them their red meat. That's what they're hiding behind is this bull. It's insane because what's her face? Nancy Mace.
Hmm.
She's like totally anti-trans because they're worried about trans people molesting their daughters in the restrooms. And it's like, no, what you're worried about, no, what they're actually concerned by is the idea that a man's going to take advantage of the situation. So you're actually worried about the straight guy still. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
That's what you're actually still concerned with. And if we're going to go record of pedophilia, then why the priests should not be allowed in a public restroom then? If we're
Right?
going to go this route.
Totally. Well, and also transphobia is just misogyny wrapped up in a different package. So
100%.
like the transphobia, specifically the bills that they're passing in states to ban trans kids from playing sports, the way they are written, like one of them I was just looking at, it only pertained to girls. So which is like, well, trans boys exist. No, they're
Yeah.
not worried about that. It was the trans girls that they're worried about. And they
Yeah.
said if you want to play sports, we need to inspect the genitals of your child, but only the girls' children, because we're only worried about trans girls playing in girls' sport. Like, and I'm reading this like, this is disgusting. This is pedophilia. You want to, and who's doing this? And what is
Yeah,
the doctor? And like, gross, disgusting. But then I look at it and I'm like, well, you just look at that's just misogyny. Like, that's just misogyny. The girls have to have their genitals checked to play sports. That's misogyny.
yeah.
Like,
That's
it's transphobia, misogyny. Like, that's what they're doing.
that's crazy.
It's gross.
That's
But
disgusting.
it's back to like the same thing of pro-choice, of wanting to control women's body. We're at the same,
100%.
it's like, why do you want to control us so bad, bro?
100%. Yeah, I don't get it. Why are you so obsessed with me?
Yeah, why are you so obsessed with my uterus? Sorry. Like,
No, seriously. No, it's true. It's so insane. And I'm so tired of like the whole, an argument that, on the Jubilee Surrounded that I was telling you about, there was a guy on there who's a Christian fundamentalist, surprise. And he obviously is pro-life and thinks that women should submit to men, as he said. Okay, this is the world we're living in. What are we talking about? Okay, I mean, that's the scary part too, is that they want to go further than just our reproductive rights. Like, some people want to say that you can't get divorced, right? Like, outlaw divorce,
mm-hmm.
or a woman can't file for divorce. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what? It's just this snowball effect. That's all that this is. That's the first step into a snowball effect where we have less and less rights. I mean, they want to come for the LGBT, like the right to marry in the gay community,
Yeah.
which I am an ally, obviously, of that community. But I am really disappointed in the turnout that Trump had from the gay voters, like white male gay voters. And I actually had a client in my chair yesterday, and she was telling me she went to an engagement party, and she was like, yeah. And she was like, and there were a lot of gay men there who voted for Trump. And I was like, because in their minds, they're white man first, gay man second. But they need to realize that that side doesn't see you like that. They see you as gay man first.
I couldn't agree more. And one of my friends here in San Diego, Barrett Paul, he very famous, very famous TikToker, but he is also a gay man, but he makes content about exactly this. So he makes a lot of content about how gay men can be very misogynistic to women still. And it kind of catches you off guard. You're like, wait, I thought you were, I'm an ally to you, you're ally to me, blah, 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 blah. No, like there can be a lot because of the privilege that they still hold from being a white man in society, lets them pass or still hold on to some of that. And
I
that's,
mean, they went for Roe v. Wade first, something from 50 years ago, rather than gay marriage that wasn't that long. You know what I mean? Because they'd be messing with men still.
yep,
Period.
totally. Which, just lets you know where we stand. Uh,
Exactly.
I I do though. I do have hope though, because I I should tell you this. I don't know if did I tell this on the podcast or not? I asked Lila Rose to come on the Pro Choice podcast. So Lila Rose, we were talking about her earlier, the founder of Live Action. I asked Lila Rose to come on my podcast
What'd she say?
after we filmed the Jubilee. And I sent her this long message and I said, I want you to come on the Pro Choice podcast, and it's not to debate me. In fact, I want us to talk about everything that we agree on and
Okay.
talk about all the points that we agree on, because while there's many things that we don't agree on, there are a lot of things we do agree on. I noticed when that debate was taking place, and then when I watched the clips afterwards, I was like, she's saying a twisted version of stuff, that there's common ground that could be found, because it is.
I mean, if you're talking about common ground as far as like, oh, we should be funding more of this for women, or there should be free daycare or whatever kind of stuff like that, is that what you mean?
I actually have no idea. I have no idea what that would be, because she's never come on and she's
Yeah.
never agreed to do it. She won't agree to come on the Pro Choice podcast. I think she's scared it'll be a debate or like a got you, but it's not.
Right.
Because and the reason why is that I feel strongly that the her and I, even though we look like polar opposites, we are closer aligned than say her and Elon Musk. So
Right.
and I feel like that divide is the one that we need to be focusing on. And it's everyone else and the 1%. Like
Correct.
Republicans, Democrats, I don't care what you are. Are you the 1% or the 0.001%?
Right.
You're not. Okay, you and I have more in common, even
I
if
agree with
we
that.
are diametrically opposed in social issues. Like
I agree with that.
if when we look at like French Revolution, like we are headed into a really bad recession. And I'm looking at my neighbor, and he might have a Trump flag, this or that. But at the end of the day,
Priorities,
he's not a 1%er,
Right.
And by the way, if my neighbors are listening, I know none of you all are Trump supporters, and I really appreciate all of your support during my congressional campaign. This was just a hypothetical.
Wait, are you running?
I did run last. I did
That's
run
so
last
funny because I
thing.
thought about running. I was like, I wonder if
Yes,
I should
yes.
because because like we need younger representation and I'm of age.
You are a perfect person to run for office. You should absolutely run for office. Would 100% support Ceci campaign.
I'm definitely gonna have to ask you some questions after this.
For sure. I'm happy to. I think it's a great idea. Absolutely. I'm actually really excited by the thought of it. I've been wondering who is going to be our new governor of this state of California.
Can we talk about Gavin Newsom for a second?
Oh no. Oh
No?
yes. Yes. I mean, oh, of course we talk about
Oh,
Gavin Newsom. I
split
mean, he's
split second. I don't want to waste too much time on him because this is a pro-choice podcast. But oh my God, his This Is Gavin Newsom podcast. First of all, I don't know if I want my governor having a podcast that is not weekly, by the way. He's been spitting them out pretty quickly. I need you to run the state. And also, the first three people he had on were Charlie Kirk, Steve Bannon, and Michael Savage, three white male supremacists.
I
And his is not, I know that you want to have Lila on to discuss things that you agree on, and that seems to be what he wants to talk about. But the problem is you're running the country, they are trying to run the country, and there are things you should not be like. He doesn't hit back when they're saying things, just taking it in like like it's like the Drew Barrymore show. Like he's just like, hanging out. What the
yes, I watched the first episode of the Gavin Newsom podcast after seeing clips circulating of him just folding for trans kids. And I was gutted. I was really devastated by that. And I think like so
he was
many
folding for a lot of things.
well, like so many white men in power, he can safely fold for that, not having the lived experience to know, well, you just did that. You could have cost the kid their life, and you still might. And
The thing is, though,
the
right.
danger.
And
Like,
the thing is, the danger he's putting out there, but for what? And I think it's because he's going to run for president.
yeah,
Okay, so he's trying to now, oh, let me get on their side a little bit. Let me be the moderate that pulls them back to the center. You.
yeah, but
And
not
then,
you can't do that.
and
Surrendering the most vulnerable. That makes you a traitor. You surrender the most vulnerable, you're a traitor.
or yeah, or he's going to use this like, oh, this is my platform in case, I get voted out, which I think we should. I hope someone else runs that I can definitely vote for.
He's
And then he'll have
terminated.
this
He's
grift.
terminated.
Then he'll have a grift.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That he'll make money off of.
I think I mean I get what you're saying, and I get probably what he's doing is like trying to pull people to the middle. But it is
But it's not, it's for him his own gain. I don't think it's because he's actually trying to heal the country. I don't.
I have no idea what the motives are, except for probably a presidential run. And I
Right.
would like him to be president more than most people, I guess. But the way he's going about it, of the first test of like, are you going to stand up for trans kids? And you fold. I would love to see Democrats stop being so like, that's why people don't like us, because we say we're for one thing, and the very first test of it, we fold. I will never fold on social issues. No one should be folding on social issues that involve like children and safety. Fold, like not fold, but like come to the middle on things where like conserve, like this whole 1%. Like we need to be talking about that. Like, why are we talking about trans kids? Talk about the goddamn billionaires. Like
Exactly.
the billionaires.
We're
like
literally focusing on less than 1% of the population. That just doesn't affect other people.
Yeah,
It's
totally.
not affecting other people like that. I mean, it's like with immigration. They want to paint all this in the worst light possible, and unfortunately, the data just does not support their message.
Yeah.
If you look into it, U.S. born citizens are 10 times more likely to be incarcerated for what was it, a weapons charge,
Yeah.
5 times more likely for a violent crime, 2 times more likely for property crime, and 2 times more likely for a drug offense over documented and undocumented immigrants. That's what the data is not support their hate or that we should all be feeling towards immigrants. You know what I mean? Like we have
Absolutely.
plenty of our own homegrown terrible people.
We do. We do. We
We
have
do.
homegrown.
They're in office right now, actually.
I do think though, one thing before we leave the Gavin Newsom, totally, I would say I would love to see Elon Musk
Mhm.
go on Gavin Newsom's podcast because I think that would be really worthwhile. And I feel like drawing the contrast on that of the two of them, I think that could be beneficial. But I really am excited by by the thought of we're having a new governor in this state, and there's some talk that it could be Kamala might be running, which I'm like that would be pretty exciting to have
That would be
the
wild.
former vice president be our governor. I don't think anyone has officially declared.
No, I haven't heard any. No, I
Yeah,
haven't.
it's a little early. Like people
It
aren't
is.
really thinking about that yet, but
It'll probably be like, I feel like, I don't know, beginning of fall is probably when you're going to start hearing people talk about it.
it's really rare for a woman to be a governor, but right now there are a number of states that do have female governors, and I think it would be incredible if California were to have a female governor. Right now in Ohio, there's a woman who's just launched her campaign for governor, which these would like make history. And it would be a nice pushback if we're having, well, what I mean, if we have Trump in the White House with Elon Musk, the Musk
Yeah.
Trump presidency, it would be nice, like, for states to push back. And a really great way to push back is to
Well,
empower women.
exactly. And here's the thing, too, that these Republicans that voted for Trump, but they're pissed off because they didn't vote for Elon, these town halls where they're all erupting, because
Yeah.
these are not paid Democrats to go there. Those are their constituents
Yeah.
that are pissed off. And I put out a message on my TikTok to them, we know you guys can rally. We're aware that you can get the numbers together. We all saw it happen. So get the numbers together and realize that they don't work for Trump. They work for you. You gave them their job. So
Totally.
when election season comes, you fire them. You're fired. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
fire them. You get rid of them. And it's unfortunate, like a lot of them just don't want to vote blue, but it's like you don't have to stay blue. What'll end up happening is your next red rep might actually work for you because they'll realize, oh, they'll fire me.
Totally.
They won't come back. So it's like you don't have to stay blue. You can go right back to red the next time.
Oh, yeah.
Like take one for the team.
Republicans do have a history of doing that too. So they organized the Tea Party, I would say like maybe it was 15 years ago, where they booted out a bunch of like Republicans that were quote unquote swampy, like the swamp or whatever,
Yep.
and put in more, I guess, independent minded
Right.
people. I don't know what they were, but
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Vote that third party person, and then whatever. If you just can't suck it up, whatever.
anything but this, and I think
Exactly.
it will swing back, but obviously in the meantime there are massive human rights violations happening in the United States, and I just wish that our governor wouldn't brush those off on his
Yeah.
big podcast. I wish he wouldn't brush off the human rights violations. We got
These
to hold the line
stories,
somewhere.
these stories coming out about the immigrants that have been deported are terrifying.
Yeah.
Did you see the one about the gay makeup artist who was taken to the El Salvador prison camp, which I'm going to cover on my podcast? Um, he, they shaved his head, they beat him. He's not, and because they said that they thought he was a gang member because of a tattoo he had. That's why he's there, because of a
What?
tattoo.
I
Yeah.
will definitely
No due process, no nothing. It's insane.
Wow. I can't wait to hear more about that on your podcast, which just to remind everyone, we've got
Very
very,
sassy.
very sassy and we're almost at our time here.
Oh, okay. So really quick about it that people should definitely check out is one, my video on the Idaho town hall where that woman was dragged out for speaking up by Gilead goons. And then the other one, though, if you want to see an interesting interview I did, her name is Karen Jones. She was on the Kill Tony podcast. If you don't know what that is, it's a comedy podcast. It's wildly popular, like 24 million people kind of popular. So she was on that, and I signed up to be on the show. So we met when we were in Austin, and she comes up to me, and I knew who she was because her 15 minutes of fame while she was on that show, they interviewed her. She was at the insurrection on January 6th and insurrected the Capitol. She went in that building with her husband. Okay. She comes up to me and is like, "You're so cute and smiley. Like, I want to take a picture with you." I was like, "Okay." And in my brain, I'm like, I know who this is. Like, this is wild. So I take this photo with her. We exchange info. And I was like, "Listen, Karen, I'm like, I want to start a podcast and I want to talk to you about being on the comedy show and being, how you grew up and the insurrection. I want all of it." And so we did that. And it did not go like I thought. I thought it was
Oh,
going to be a little friendlier than it turned out to be at the end.
oh, I
Yeah.
can't wait to listen to that.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Uh-huh. It was interesting. So you guys should definitely look at that one too.
I will definitely be, maybe I can take some notes if Lila Rose ever agrees to come on the pro-choice
Oh
podcast.
my God. I wish she would do it. I don't, that's the other thing too, though, is I feel like the left is always more willing to like have people, I don't know. I wish she should do this.
I hope, we can only hope because like I said, I do think like that there's going to come a time where we're going to realize the two-party system, it's all made up. Like it's all made up. Like there's the billionaires controlling everything. There's like 5 or 6 people
Yeah.
hoarding all the freaking money.
Yeah.
And we've got people that are saying, "Can I just have like food and healthcare?" They're like, "No, you're greedy." Like, no, I'm
Yeah. The
sorry.
basics.
I
Yeah.
think I have hope. I have a lot of hope. If
Me too.
it's like these conversations, though, if you're willing to show up and have the conversation, I think we can move the ball forward.
Listen, as long as you and I still exist, there's hope. Okay. If you're like us and you're willing to fight, there's hope. Where there's life, there's hope, right?
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere. Keep doing this for doing. I don't want to keep doing it though. I really hope. I hope I'm still not having to fight for reproductive rights in like a few years. But I've been doing this now 7 years, and when I started, I thought, oh, we'll save. It was at that save Roe v. Wade, defend Roe v. Wade. Well, they'll never overturn. And then it was like, oh
Yeah.
fuck, like
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
fuck, because
Oh,
it's
fuck.
just yeah. Like, why are we still doing this? It's really frustrating. But that's the thing is, um, whenever you see something bad, there's this famous quote by Glennon Doyle, and she says, whenever you see something bad, look for the helpers, look for the people speaking up. Like I can't wait to hear about the makeup artist that in El
Yep.
Salvador that you cover on your podcast
Yep.
because it's like, well, you're one of the helpers, like you are by covering the story, like us, by talking about these issues.
Right.
That is what we need right now because
Yeah.
there's so many of these stories are going
Well,
untold, or there's too many. There's even the mainstream media, there would be too many for them to even cover. So we have to cover
100%.
them.
Yeah, 100% because they have to cover certain things and they just want these big talking points because at the end of the day, they still need to hit their numbers. Do you know what I mean? They need to feed the red meat.
Yeah. So I appreciate you covering those. I can't wait to listen to your podcast and hear all of your stories. And thank you so much for being on today. Remember, Barry Ceci is our guest. And
Yay! Thanks, Whitney. I
please check
so
out.
appreciate it. Thank
I
you.
so appreciate you, and I can't wait to see you very soon.
Yes, very soon.
Well, thank you so much. Thanks everyone for listening. If you're interested to be a guest on the Pro Choice Podcast, please shoot us an email over at prochoicepodcast@gmail.com. And you can listen to this on iTunes and Podbean. We will talk to
Yay!
you later. Bye.
Bye.